on Revolt Black News Weekly.
Here is someone who, for 67 years, has eluded and evaded justice.
Will there be justice for Emmett Till, the movement to bring America's original Karen to justice? But is it too late? We get into the debate.
He's dead in the grave because of the actions of this woman. I declare her a fugitive.
Then,
no one should be profiting off the punishment of others.
America's cash bail system in an upheaval, how Black Americans are pushing to level the playing field and break the judicial caste system. Plus,
she's the queen. Whenever she drops something, the world stops.
Beehive is about to turn things up as Kanye literally rolls into Miami, and I'm on the ground for Rolling Loud. What attracted you to this venue?
It's the energy, it's the vibes.
As the Avengers for Justice swoop into the Big Apple, making big noise.
Stand up for the things they feel is wrong.
All that and more as the Black News Revolution starts right now. Beyonce's renaissance is finally here and the Beehive is buzzing. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Kennedy Rue.
And I'm special correspondent Rochelle Ritchie. We'll get to Queen Bee in a minute, but we're starting with justice for Emmett Till, who would have turned 81 this week. His brutal murder in 1955 shook the world. Now an unfilled arrest warrant for accuser Carolyn Bryant has surfaced. Now there's a call to bring the original Karen to justice, even at 87 years old. Tonight, we explore if there will ever be real closure for Emmett Till and his family, or is it too late? That is tonight's top story.
So many of us who know the story of Emmett Till know that he was the catalyst that sparked the American Civil Rights Movement.
If we can get justice for Emmett Till, we can get justice for all those who've been slaughtered because of white supremacy.
In 1955, 14-year-old Emmett Till, son of Mamie Till Mobley, and his cousin Wheeler Parker were visiting relatives in Money, Mississippi. But the young Chicago native was not prepared for the extreme racism for Black people in the Jim Crow South.
They always kind of prepped you for going to Mississippi, made you very aware of what could happen and what the South was like. And I don't know if Emmett was told or not.
On August 24th, Emmett and a few other boys visited a general store owned by Roy Bryant and his wife, Carolyn. Carolyn later claimed that while in the store, Emmett grabbed her and made a lewd gesture. And when Bryant exited the store, she says Emmett whistled at her.
When he whistled, it scared everybody in the bunch. And when he saw our reaction, he got scared.
The next night, two men, Roy Bryant and his brother-in-law, J.W. Millam, kidnapped Emmett from the home of his great-uncle Moses Wright, drove him to a remote shed, beat him beyond recognition, and shot him in the head. His body, tied to a cotton gin fan, was found 3 days later, submerged in the Tallahatchie River.
He didn't have on any clothes at all. His body was so badly damaged that we couldn't hardly just tell who he was.
Overcome with grief and determined that the nation bear witness to the barbaric execution of her son, Mamie Till invited Jet magazine cameraman David Jackson to photograph Emmett's beaten and bloated face. She held an open casket funeral in Chicago.
If the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
Bryant and Millam were arrested and tried for the murder of Emmett Till. It took an all-white male jury just over an hour to find them not guilty.
Well, the whole trial was just a farce, but the verdict was the one that I had expected.
While Mamie Till passed away in 2003 without seeing justice for her son, she did witness the rise of the civil rights movement in the 1950s, sparked by her son's murder, which still resonates today with the signing of the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act by President Joe Biden on March 29, 2022.
It took something to let them know that we're either going to stand together or we're going to fall together.
The case was reopened again in 2018 after information surfaced in an unpublished memoir by Carolyn Bryant, the lone survivor of the trio of perpetrators. She had recanted her testimony about Emmett's behavior in the market, but again, justice proved elusive after the Mississippi grand jury closed the case, concluding it could not prove she lied.
Here is someone who, for 67 years, has eluded and evaded justice. No one is allowed to do that, except for those who have white skin privilege.
In June, the untold story of Emmett Till, filmmaker Keith Beauchamp, and others discovered a 1955 unserved arrest warrant for both the Bryants and Millam inside a Mississippi Circuit Court clerk's office.
The family members, we have never stopped and we will never stop until we get justice.
If we pride ourselves at being a country of freedom and equality, then we must continue to fight for justice for Emmett Till at all costs.
Open up the door.
In July, activists in North Carolina, led by attorney Malik Shabazz, attempted to serve the warrant on Carolyn Bryant, who is now in her late 80s. Still, the Mississippi Attorney General's office stated the unserved warrant does not constitute new evidence for prosecution.
Carolyn Bryant Donham has ran and hid from justice long enough.
The lack of justice in Emmett Till's story is still echoing today every time we hear of the slaughter of Black and brown on the streets of America.
Here to join me with more insight are attorney Malik Shabazz, political activist Jericho Green, and digital creator starring Amber. Malik, I want to start with you. Is what's happening right now with Carolyn Bryant, is this a glaring lack of justice? I mean, you took matters into your own hands. The video went viral when information came out that there was a warrant for her arrest that was not served. What were you thinking in trying to serve your own arrest warrant?
What we're doing is putting the pressure on the United States Justice Department, the state prosecutors in LaFleur County, Mississippi, Mr. Dwayne Richardson, to serve this valid and sealed warrant from the LaFleur County Courthouse. This warrant is to have her arrested for kidnapping. And that's what all of our actions are about, to have the law arrest her.
So, Jericho, let me bring you into this conversation. I mean, what do you think of Malik's actions? You know, what can be gained by serving an arrest warrant for Carolyn Bryant, who has really avoided justice for a number of years?
This is one of the most horrible things to happen in the United States of America. This is an irremovable stain on the history of America. But I don't think that any justice can be served through this woman being arrested. Now, her age isn't the issue, but the woman is suffering from dementia. So would she even be able to stand trial, to face punishment? Would she even be aware of what's going on? Having law enforcement putting the pressure on him, like he was saying, to carry out this warrant, to execute this warrant, is probably all that can be done. I think teaching people, making sure that people know that this is part of American history, letting them know what happened and how terrible this is pretty much all that can be done, because the fact that she has dementia, she won't stand trial. All they can do is arrest her and book her, and then that's it. She won't go to trial. She won't face any punishment. And it's worth mentioning that the Department of Justice has investigated Carolyn Bryant a number of times, and each time no federal charges have been brought. The professor that wrote that she recanted her story actually didn't have the recording of her saying it. It wasn't in the transcript. So there's a lot of debate around whether or not there is any real justice that can be served in this case based off of her medical records and then previous investigation.
No one had a problem with dragging off 83-year-old Bill Cosby and hauling him off to jail for the rest of his life. Only the appeals process freed him. We don't have any sympathy for Carolyn Bryant. I don't think we should be acting as her defense attorneys trying to put defenses up for her after she's involved in the murder of one of the greatest martyrs of all time. One of our weaknesses as a people is we're always looking to get our oppressors off or released, and we're taking a hard line. The grand jury reconvened for manslaughter, and facts coming from the family and others now that I represent indicate that she should be indicted for murder.
Yeah, she absolutely should face some sort of punishment. Let me bring Amber into this conversation. Amber, as a youth, does your generation really even pay attention to this story?
I do feel like we should talk about it. Like, people should know what happened, because what happened was a tragedy. Like, it should never happen. Like, we should definitely be more aware about that. But I feel like we don't pay enough attention to all the deaths in our community. Like, every time I log on to social media, it's a new young Black man dying for no reason. Like, we have issues happening right now in the present that we're not focusing on.
The last question, I want to get to all three of you very quickly, 10 seconds each. Some say this is one of the first prominent cases of Karenism. So are white women deemed above reproach when it comes to the law? Amber, I'm going to go ahead and start with you again, love.
I don't necessarily think so, but I do see how people can feel that way because I've seen it happen, like with like Amber Heard and this lady. But she has dementia. I just feel like it's unfortunately a loss. The situation is a lost cause. Like, I don't think there's anything we can do.
To answer your question direct, I think that white women will be beyond reproach as long as we don't hold them accountable right now. Emmett Till never made it to be 87, 77, or 57. He's dead in the grave because of the actions of this woman. I declare her a fugitive, and as a Black man, I'm standing up for my people and standing up against injustice, and I will hold her accountable, and she will be brought to justice. There will be no peace in her life, dementia or not. She is involved in the murder of Emmett Till. She shall be held accountable.
I don't agree with that. I think women in general are held above reproach. I think women in general are believed over a man, not just white women. But no, I don't agree with that at all.
All right, well, Malik, Jericho, Amber, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be right back.